Hello and welcome to the Mandalorian Fan Podcast. Of course, I'm Hank Davis and I'm joined by the Jedi Master himself, Alex Cruz. Alex, how are you?
Hey, everybody. I am doing well. The force is with me.
Yes, it is. So we are back to talk about the Bad Batch Season 1, Episode 8 Reunion. Oh, man, this was a good episode. So let's, did you want to get into that monster from last week first?
All right. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So some last minute changes here from last week. So we identified the monster that was after Wrecker, and I did not think it was the trash compactor monster, the Diagonal, but it was. So I'm going to share what my confusion over this was. So back in 1978, Kenner created a Death Star playset for the action figures. And of course, I still have mine. And so the trash compactor monster, it was not called a Diagna in the box. It was just called the trash compactor monster. And this was the figure that they gave us. Okay, so this is the side view right here. And in a moment, I'm going to share like a above view.
Okay.
So we have a mouth right there. There's its eyes right there. And what appears to be like a fin right there and its tail. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to share kind of like an above view of this, and let's see, there we go. There.
Oh, wow.
And so again, this here, so this right here, again, that's the big giant eyeball. All right. And so we have looks like wings, but that's fins, and it has like a tail like that. And I'm trying to remember how long that is. I have one in my basement. If I was smart, I would have, gone down there and searched for it, and then I could show everybody. Right. But I know they're fetching like upwards up to $60 on eBay right now. So
wow.
I don't plan on selling mine though.
No, if somebody had the foresight though, back in the old days to just buy a bunch of duplicates of everything, man, they'd be really wealthy by now.
Oh yeah, I know that Death Star playset in and of itself is worth a pretty penny.
Okay.
At least probably about $500, if not more.
Wow. Okay, so, thank you for pulling that up and finding that. That was pretty awesome.
So that's where my confusion lies. It was right there, because that's what I was kind of in my mind, since I had the action figures when I was a kid playing with them all the time. That's what that trash compactor monster looked like to me. Okay. And then they years later they go ahead and change it, and I'm probably when Disney took over, or maybe even before then, which I probably was most likely before then, but I know George Lucas, he had more to play with when it came to the CGI stuff. So yeah, so I was wrong, and
thank you though.
But I had it that it was bothering me. It was really bothering me, because I was on another website, said no, that was a Diagonal, and again I had to go to Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is the best Star Wars source material ever. So, and there it said it appeared in that episode as well. So
okay, good
we
stuff.
Stand corrected.
No worries. Hey, that'll happen sometimes. All right, let's get into our recap of the episode. On Camino, Crosshair interrupts the Prime Minister and Admiral Rampart, who informs him of Clone Force 99. So he orders Crosshair to terminate them. He don't want them captured. He just wants them killed. And I thought that this Admiral possibly maybe made his first mistake when he was kind of dismissive of Crosshair. What about you?
Well, this is what we call, boys and girls, a red shirt. So I have a feeling he may not last the season.
We shall see. Wrecker teaches Omega how to defuse, thankfully, a smoke bomb. But the scrappers are watching everything that our clone force is doing. But thankfully, they see them and are able to get after the ones that were spying on them. And Wrecker hit his head this time, but since there's no chip, we're good to go. I guess maybe that was their way of saying, okay, he hit his head, but now there's no ill effects other than just he smashed his head.
He's the only kind of effects we see of it, you see like a bandage on the side of his head, and that's about it.
Yes. They explain why they are staying there, and it's for financial gain. Because that's what I was asking myself. I was like, you did the procedure. Aren't you trying to get out of here? But they explained that right away, and I was thankful they did that because sometimes, writers will overlook stuff like that and not find it necessary to tell the audience, give us that exposition. And I was so thankful they did that because it took the episode, which could have been even a little bit lower, and helped keep it elevated in my mind.
And come to find out, there's still a lot of valuable things, left for them to scrap on that ship.
Or kill them.
Yeah.
Omega.
Just don't let Omega touch anything, because most likely they're not smoke bombs this time.
No, not at all. And Omega and Wrecker, that's when they spot some proton torpedoes. And I was like, oh, yes, this won't be
payload.
Yeah, this won't be a disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah.
And then Omega gets called to the bridge while Hunter and Echo debate Hunter's decision not to go with Rex. You kind of got a little bit of dissension there almost. Nothing too negative or anything, but you get Hunter being second guest. And I kind of agreed with Echo a little bit, like, hey, maybe we should have kind of pursued that because that's what we do.
And again, knowing what we know of the writers for this season, I think it's a bit of foreshadowing for a future episode. So I think that's going to make itself known, this dissension, and maybe possibly getting into the rebellion. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, on the bridge, Omega inquires about the war and then notices a blinking button. And unfortunately, Tech thought that was just an error, but nope, Crosshair is here. Him and a whole bunch of those troopers are with him. And I was like, you might get me to believe that Tech could make some mistakes, but something like that, it seems like he would have been more calculated and thought, you know what, maybe I should double check.
Yeah.
So,
most definitely. That's never assume something is a mistake. Always, double check to make sure that it is indeed the case, because in this case it wasn't.
Oh, the Kaminoan Prime Minister is reaching out to more bounty hunters to get Omega. So what do you think that process behind the scenes? Do you think he only contacted Cad Bane, or do you think there's other people that are going to be floating around out there?
Okay, so the Prime Minister was the one who hired Fennec Shan, and he so since she didn't really get the job done, he was going to have Cad Bane do it. So and again, Omega is something special. How special is she? We don't quite, know yet. So, and I'm thinking the next episode for sure, we might know how special she is to the clone creators.
Yes, I hope so too, because we're right now at the halfway mark, and it would be really good to get some of those answers surrounding her in particular. The clone troopers, they board the ship and they found the team's getaway ship as well, all the Marauder. So they've got everything covered. They're making Crosshair as smart as you would think he should be. So I do like that.
Now, one thing that I was kind of hoping in this, and we'll talk more about it later, but since they're, aboard the Jedi cruiser and they had all of their, implants kind of taken out of their heads there, well, could Crosshair get his taken out? They could capture him. That's what I was hoping at the beginning of the episode. So I guess you'll have to stay tuned to see if that happened.
The only thing about that is his inhibitor chip that is even doing anything, or was he kind of against them to begin with when they weren't following orders?
Well, there's only really one way to find out, and that's if they actually take it out.
Yank it out and see what happens. Yeah. Oh. They overhear Crosshair ordering the troopers to push them to the hangar, and Crosshair had predicted their move. He is just 5 steps ahead on these guys. So they are able to bring down some rubble on top of those troopers, which I found to be one of the most dangerous escape tricks to even attempt to say, you know what, look at all this fragile stuff everywhere. Maybe we can just bring some of it down. And it's like, man, that's a horrible idea, kind of.
Yeah, well, that's one of 2 extremely dangerous escapes that they're going to attempt this episode. And I thought it was quite smart.
Yeah, myself. I guess, because you wouldn't assume somebody would put themselves at risk, so to speak.
Right.
But they're a different breed. So the Bad Batch,
the bad breed, or the Bad Batch. The Bad Breed. That's their new name.
New name.
Old.
So they are now trying to escape through the ion engine, and Omega proclaims she's never been in one before. And they were like, that'd be strange if you would have been in one before.
Yeah.
Like, why would you have in that lab? Why would you have been in one? That was funny. I'd never been in one of these before. Oh, that was cute, but funny. Crosshair is waiting for them outside of there this time too, and Tech conveniently had restored the power so they can now get incinerated inside that engine. I was like, what in the world? Why did this not work out? He can't be that smart.
He was kind of like one step ahead of them, which was kind of, I thought, unusual at first, but yet we're going to find out who has the step ahead of whom here.
What did Wrecker mean by we could try Plan 7, but nobody wanted to try Plan 7? Do you know what that means?
I don't know what Plan 7 is, but evidently they have a bunch of maneuvers, pre-planned out in case they get in situations like that. So that was Plan 7 was highly disagreed upon.
So getting incinerated was better than Plan 7. That should tell us something. They blow the charges and fall. So they have just that section they're in rigged up so it'll have a controlled fall, and Crosshair gets burnt in the process. I wasn't expecting that. I thought that was a bit dark for I always forget how far they're willing to go on these series, and I was like, oh man, that was freaking kind of freaky.
Yeah, so he's gonna have more damage added onto him.
And so CT-8508 is out cold. He's not responding, and that's due to Cad Bane, because he's just waiting for Hunter and Omega at the Marauder. Was it too convenient that it was just Hunter with her?
Well, you got I think Hunter, he's kind of I know he's the leader of the group, but he's also probably maybe the most skilled at what he does. And so with Cad Bane showing up, we know how quick Cad Bane is when it comes to to his sidearms there. So we had a showdown here. Typical old cowboy western film.
That'd been great if they would have played the music behind it too.
Well, they kind of did. If you listen to the music, it was very good, bad, and the ugly.
Okay.
So that's what it kind of reminded me of. That composer, his name escapes me right now, but he's wonderful. He did a lot of those spaghetti westerns.
Oh, cool.
So, and that, I think that was an homage to those films.
I like it. It's draw time and Hunter loses, as we would have expected. So Cad Bane, he then zaps Omega and takes her away. I was like, no. I kind of like the storytelling for the rest of the episode when the rest of the Bad Batch show up and Hunter's like coming to, and so you kind of seeing stuff from his perspective. They get on the Marauder and they get the heck out of there. I thought that was kind of a really well done, almost like a cinematic shot, even though this is just an animated series.
Yeah, so I wonder how many people thought that, Cad Bane killed Hunter. And of course, we know that how great their armor is. They have awesome armor, and so that, protected them. But this to me kind of reminded me, very much so of the end of Empire Strikes Back when Boba Fett takes Han, when Han's encased in the carbonite to take him to Jabba the Hutt. So we have, and we kind of have an ending that isn't one of those endings that is fully, everything's all sewed up nice and wrapped up tight, like a nice present and a bow and stuff. So we're like, got to tune in the next episode.
Conveniently enough.
Yep.
Which leads us to our rating for this episode. What did you think of this one, Alex?
I really liked this episode. I think to me, Cad Bane was the largest surprise. I'm glad we had Crosshairs back. I'd probably give this a 9 out of 10 because I really loved it.
I am exactly on board. When I was watching the episode, I was like, yeah, this is really cool. If this, I was hoping for any of a little bit of a spectrum of bounty hunters. And then when I heard that trademark voice, I was like, yes, I love me some Cad Bane. So I was really into this one. But like you said, they don't tie up the story arc just yet. So you can't really say this is a 10 or anything like that. But it was a really good episode.
It was, yes.
We have a piece of feedback.
All right.
Somebody was able to beat the wire on this week, so I'll play that right now.
Hi, Hank and Alex. This is Russ calling in again. I just watched the latest episode of The Bad Batch. I know I had called in a few weeks ago and I complained about the number of guest stars that have been showing up on the series. But I have to say, I really enjoyed the appearance of Cad Bane, one of my old favorites. I should have suspected he might have been one of the bounty hunters who was going to show up, but I did not, so it was a pleasant surprise for me. I thought the return of Crosshair was much needed and brought some gravity to the show, which was good, and I think it's really raised the stakes with the return of Crosshair and then with Omega being taken away. So all in all, I enjoyed the episode, and I think it really sets it up for a nice second half of the season. Hope you guys are well, and thanks for doing the show. Thanks, bye.
Fantastic. Great to hear from you, Russ. Russ joined me in he was in the live stream chat. I live stream Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern time, and Russ popped in the chat. Great thoughts. I think Cad Bane kind of raises the level of the series in a sense. When you're talking about, they could have thrown out any number of bounty hunters out there at us. Now, I know we got Fennec Shannon. We're excited about that. But Cad Bane's kind of one of those, almost feels like a legacy type character or whatnot, where you're just like, oh, it's great to revisit this character.
This is so Cad Bane's throwback character from Clone Wars, and I'm kind of wanting some of our bounty hunters from The Empire Strikes Back, like Bosk or Dengar, IG-88, one of those guys. So
Okay.
I would
even
much
further?
rather, I would much rather see those guys. But Cad Bane again was a nice touch.
Yes.
If you're a newcomer and just are just watching the Bad Batch without having watched Clone Wars or Rebels or any of those, and you'll probably be highly confused.
True. Yes. And
So
they had initially said that wouldn't be a problem at first, and now they're seem to be proving themselves wrong because you need to know who some of these characters are, and you kind of, I hate to say it, but you kind of need to know the Mandalorian for Fennec Shan, and stuff. So it's one of those MCU type deals where it's like, yeah, you could still watch, but you're just gonna be going, huh? Why is this guy doing this?
Yeah.
Why is Captain America trying to save the guy with the long hair?
And I'm not so much sure if that could be a turnoff for any newcomers. So if you're just watching Bad Batch and this is your first contact with these characters without having watching anything prior like Clone Wars or Rebels, please, drop us a line and let us know.
That'd be great. Russ, thanks so much for sending that in. That was excellent.
Thank you, Russ. That was much appreciated.
Very much so. Alex, anything else before we get out of here?
Nope. Again, we're at that time in which, dang, this next episode couldn't get here sooner enough. So now I don't know if anyone's been hearing this, but Disney Plus, since they've been doing so great with Loki, they're going to start dropping new episodes with everything. Instead of having it on Fridays, they're going to start doing it on Wednesdays. But Bad Batch right now is not kind of in that time frame. They're still going to release on Fridays until this season is over, and then if there's another season, then they'll be releasing on Wednesdays when that. So everything else we get will be a Wednesday thing. So not only is Wednesday awesome because it's new comic book day, but it's also new Disney Plus day as well.
That is great. Yeah, we're a special edition of our own.
I see that.
Comic wise, anyway. So that is excellent. Alex, it's always a pleasure, my friend.
Hey, this is my favorite podcast of all time. So
awesome.
Get to share my Star Wars knowledge. I love that.
And you have a lot of it. So thank you so much. And thank those of you out there listening. Check us out every Saturday on the Bad Batch recap that we're doing, available on our Mandalorian Fan Podcast. For Alex, I'm Hank. Until the next time, we're signing off.
See ya.
TPE Network. There ain't nothing else like it.